Kia ora everyone! Really exciting LEGO Batman DC news was revealed over the past couple of weeks. Belated news, and that's entirely on me, sorry everyone, very busy on my end of things. I just really wanted to take the time to explore this idea and go over what I'm hoping to see from this supposed LEGO Batman rumor, and hopefully it's also what you want to see. This is going to be me covering the news about the rumored LEGO Batman Arkham Asylum set that is releasing next year. Set 76300 Arkham Asylum, which currently has the price point of 400 USD, which translates to 670 NZD, so this thing is looking very pricey. I'm hopefully thinking no higher than 750 NZD, I'm praying on that in fact. The piece count I'm not too sure on, and the release date we're also not too sure on, but reports are currently saying that it will release around the summer season for now. This is huge, really funny that everyone, myself included, complains about how many times Batman is being used in the LEGO DC branding, but man, this is the first time I'm feeling excited about LEGO Batman news in years. There's a lot to unpack here for what this could potentially be. Firstly, clearly the LEGO Marvel stuff is working wonders then over in LEGO Town, because the Bugle and the Avengers Tower and the X-Mansion and upcoming releases seem to be selling quite well, and so finally DC is going to get something that hopefully fits that same brief. I've been wanting DC scaled sets like this ever since the Bugle released. I know I'm not alone in thinking that either. I think at my heart I am a DC person over a Marvel person, so I've just been patiently waiting on the sidelines. DC has received some massive D2C sets in the past before, even before Marvel received anything close to what the Bugle was. They've had stuff like the Tumblers, recently they had the Batcave Shadow Box, they had the Gotham City Skyline set as well. Neither of them really come close to covering that same basis of the Daily Bugle for me, and I think for many others, but I do still think that they have some quality and value to them that is worth covering for this upcoming Arkham set specifically. Arkham is something that we have seen in the past now with these three sets specifically. There was a Juniors one, but I'm not going to really be covering that today. All three mainline sets offered unique designs for that Gothic style building. I'll be very disappointed if this thing doesn't appear to look like a Gothic dream that I'm wanting it to be. I just love when LEGO do horror based sets, and the building's design that fits like vampire-like haunted mansion, that's exactly what I'm wanting to see here. I have to assume that this set will be a fully enclosed one, which the previous Arkham releases were not. I think this build method alone will make for a rather interesting build here, and it'll be a great way to bring in collectors who already have an Arkham in their collection to come in and grab this one. Arkham is something that I've been trying to get a hold of for years now, and tragically, I missed all three releases, so this is something that is appealing to me in my current state. I just wanted then to talk about the target audience and the price and my expectations. I'm not alone in speaking up against what's been happening with LEGO over the years. I find that they keep on taking IP that's intended for all audiences and exclusively making expensive luxury item products that only those old enough with disposable income can actually afford nowadays. When I was younger, LEGO didn't used to be like this. The first Arkham set was just a regular playset. The next Arkham set and the third Arkham set were a lot bigger scaled in comparison to others, but a lot of those figures and inclusions were re-releases and available in different sets. Those sets also weren't over 500 NZD, they were a bit more affordable and reasonable. Essentially what I'm getting at is we had plenty of other options available when I was younger, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise. If LEGO want to continue doing this, that's totally fine, but I'm going to start needing to see some premium products if I'm going to be paying those premium prices. I want these things to start feeling like they've achieved that quality status again, because the more I think about that X-Mansion, the more I'm disappointed. LEGO lately have been really dropping the ball when it comes to quality control with these sets, at least in my opinion. I know that there's many that agree with that, but it is at the end of the day still just my opinion. I really need to see them start reconsidering some of the IPs chosen. What we have here is Batman, an IP that is recognized by many with an appealing idea for a set, and one that's been desired for a few years now. Targeting the adults with an expensive price like that is going to make this the most expensive LEGO DC set released. For those reasons then, I want to see this target a slightly older audience of Batman fans, and that's why I want this to be based around the Rocksteady Arkham games. Now these Rocksteady Arkham games have paved way for a lot of these action-based titles based around IP for years now. Admittedly, a lot of them are Warner Bros. Properties, but still, Arkham City did wonders for the open world settings, something that we now see with many games scattered across Warner Bros. Properties, and Arkham Knight targeted an older audience with a darker tone and setting. The same audience who played the original entries were now grown up with those games. If I'm going to be paying adult level prices on this thing, give me an adult level set that's worthy of those prices. I wanted to take a look at the current slate of the 18 plus sets in the LEGO DC world. These are according to Brickset, but in my eyes, we're yet to have a full display model that works as both a traditional style LEGO set with figures and features, and one that also acts as a way to show off your love for that brand of LEGO and Batman DC. Batman famously has had a few vehicles made in this grandiose scale. A lot of these are based on Batmobiles released both before the theme transition to DC superheroes as a whole, and we've had a few of these released over the past couple of years now, mostly focusing on the famous movies for their anniversaries. A couple of helmets have been released under this like 18 plus adults line, or in this case cowls, based around the 89 appearance and the Adam West 60s look. They're very cool, but definitely not fitting the brief of what we're discussing today. The closest set that we have for a rough gauge here is the Gotham City Skylines and the Batcave Shadow Box, which is what I'll be looking at mostly. And starting with the Shadow Box because it did release first. Released just last year, I believe. It's an interesting take at a fresh idea in my opinion, but it seems to have been one that was considered a miss amongst the community. I'm not sure if it's just that price, or maybe it was because no one was wanting a Batcave that looked like this. I know that one of the top criticisms we heard was that people were pointing out just how many pieces were used here for the box design rather than the Batcave on the inside. It was also based on a very popular movie with an adult-based audience. It is one of my favorite Batman movies too, mind you, but the price here at 660 NZD was a lot of money, especially when you want to collect other sets and themes. This set is due to retire very soon, I believe at the end of December. Hell, it's even out of stock right now as of recording this video, and I've seen this pattern before with Ghostbusters. It's likely that it's just not going to come back. It's close to what we've been wanting. It's a display set, but it features some really cool gimmicks on the inside for figures to interact with. It is a minifig scale Batcave after all. I do understand why people weren't fans of this one, but ultimately I think I like it. This year I believe had the release of the Gotham City Skylines set, which turned out to be an art piece set, and this is another one that I really like. I don't love it though, especially for that $500 price point. Scratch that, my bad, it's actually 550 NZD. These prices are so extreme currently. If you've been keeping track, it's over $1,000 in New Zealand currency for just these two sets alone. Again, same as before, the central idea here is amazing for me. The visuals are really great, but the price is just dreaming. It's the type of set that could easily bring someone who's not familiar with LEGO over to consider buying LEGO. Once they see that price though, it just confirms that they're going to be leaving. This thing is massive, and compared to the other LEGO art-based sets, it is more than double those pieces, but you're so used to the other art sets and their prices, so it's hard to pay half a grand here for an art-based set. It leads us to the Arkham set, which is presumably the first DC direct-to-consumer set that targets adults that should have the scale and features of a massive LEGO set with the traditional feeling of like a playset. It's said to be priced at more than the Gotham City Skyline, but around the same price as the Shadow Box, so here in NZ, we're looking at 650 to 700 NZD then. I'm assuming closer to the $700 price range than the $600 price range, and I'm really hoping it doesn't exceed 750 NZD. There were two mainline Arkham Asylum sets that I absolutely adored. The first release is very cool for nostalgic reasons, but really that design was perfected by the time the 2012 line came around. That original one is very simple in its execution, with it nailing that gothic style, and that's all I really needed to see. Really good foundations, but this 2013 release here is amazing. The only con I have with this one really is the fact that the building just can't help but feel rather incomplete. I always imagined Arkham being the size of like an island from the video games. It feels like those Hogwarts sets. You want to see more and more of these made to combine them into a giant one. It feels like a really good entranceway for the set, but where's the rest of it? The Gothic architecture here is amazing. I love the greys and the blacks and the gargoyles used to capture that feeling of Gotham. It just feels so perfect to me. So this type of architecture design is a need for me to see in a grander scale again in 2025. I also love the addition of poison ivy here, which has vines growing out of the building. It gives it a bit of a character and a personal story, which is something that we've been seeing in sets like the Bugle or the Expansion, which have some destroyed designs that you're easily able to rebuild and fix up for your display. I'd love to see something like this mimicked here in a brand new design. The back of this set here is exposed because it is a playset for a younger crowd. It's something that I think the new Arkham won't be repeating. None of the recent Marvel sets for the 18 plus audience are designed with exposed backs. I think this will be a fully enclosed set, and I look forward to seeing just how they nail that design. We all expect to see the important rooms here, like the specialized jail cells for each of the characters. It's one of my favorite details from the Arkham games. Like in Arkham Knight with the police station, Batman doesn't throw every villain into the same cell as one another. Characters like Man-Bat and Ivy and the DLC villains, they get their own little subsections. Details like that I believe are going to be important here. It'd be nice to see something like a guard break room or a surveillance room. If this really is going to be based on the games like I'm wanting to see, then I want to see some game references as well, like some grates for Batman to climb through, or the Riddler trophies, or breakable walls. All of those kind of side details are a must for me. This set here is the ideal design that I want to see, but I really do like the figures and inclusions with the one based around the LEGO Batman movie release. While this one is a very cool build, I don't really love that color scheme here. The gothic style is minimal compared to the other designs. It's cool, but it's not my ideal look. The flaw with this set for me is the interior. It's way too minimal on the inside there and very tight for the minifigures. I love the visitor room that's off to the side there, and it looks a lot like there is a guard hangout space here as well, but the figures' inclusions are the ones that sell me on this. Every villain here appears wearing an Arkham jumpsuit. That's cool. I hope we don't have that repeated for the new Arkham though, mainly due to the lack of current availability with these characters from the world of Batman, besides characters like Batman and Joker. It's going to be the first time in a long time we may presumably be getting some Batman villains in some classical attire, so I want to see their villains in their respective outfits. It would be fun to at least have 1 or 2 inmates wearing a uniform though. The pro for me here are the police officer minifigure inclusions. I do hope we get to see some guards and characters to help build out the workers for this set. Again, if being based on the games, I'd like to see Cash himself. A police car or a van would be appreciated too, like we've seen in the previous releases. So I've briefly talked about the figures being included and what I roughly want to see here. I'll keep things very simple then and just say, if this is to be based around the Arkham games, I would want this to be based around the first Arkham game specifically. If I had it my way though, I would be wanting to try to get everyone involved here because Rocksteady were very careful to keep a lot of those villains aside for their sequels. We obviously would get Batman, and having an Arkham games figure would be amazing for the collection. My hope then would be that we would see something brand new for this figure, and this is where I would be devastated because I know that LEGO would probably cheapen out and just rehash previous releases. Arkham Batman has the tallest ears that I've ever seen on an outfit before, and as goofy as they may appear, that would make for a really interesting piece. Joker, of course, you couldn't possibly have an Arkham set without the guy. That Joker design is crazy to me. It has become so universal to him over the years that even Movie World in Australia uses that design for their statue of the guy at that fountain. It's a very iconic look, and I would love to see a LEGO variant provided they nail it, and again, they don't just rehash stuff that is already released. Harley makes for a pretty good companion here, an ideal inclusion as well, and the same needs listed for Joker and Batman for Harley here. I mentioned I would want to see Cash here because he has only appeared once before in the LEGO Batman movie Asylum set, so it would be really cool to have another one here. Of course then Jim Gordon is also important. He uses a design in the game that is just ripped directly from the comics. I love the white hair and beard, and we've yet to have a Gordon figure release that fit that iconic style, so it'd be great to finally see. As far as other villains I would like to see then, Scarecrow is a very obvious choice here. You fight him as a boss battle, so it makes sense to have him here. That design is rather interesting to me as well. It feels like we haven't had a great bag head type Scarecrow release yet. Ivy is another boss fight in the game, so it makes sense for her to be included here as well. I really want to see an Ivy figure with that green skin, which LEGO have not yet done. They can change her lower half for the costume design, that stuff wouldn't really bother me. I just really want to see the greens and reds on full display here. A fight in the Botanical Garden section would be great to build. Let's talk about Big Figs then, because there are 2 other boss fights in the game that involve Killer Croc and Bane. I wouldn't want to see these guys as anything other than Big Figs. They are massive in their scale for the game. As for Killer Croc's design though, I don't know. I think the Big Fig we got of him in the 2016 Suicide Squad stuff is terrible personally. I love the weird design he had for the LEGO Batman movie. That bad figure design though actually works wonders for the Arkham design, so I couldn't really hate it if they released something similar like this. Both of them are ideal to see here. It'd be cool to have Bane with a Titan canister or something as his accessory, and Croc could be placed in a lair-like build sewer system underneath Arkham. And now for some minor character inclusions. I would like to see 1 or 2 prison guards as I mentioned, or 1 or 2 Joker guards then as well. At this point I'm going all in on assuming it's an Arkham-like game adaptation, because it's what I'm wanting to see the most here. Also worth noting that sets like the Bugle, which released under the Marvel line, that set included adult targeted characters that we assume LEGO haven't been able to release in kids-based sets before. Characters like Daredevil is a little bit of like a grey area, but characters like Punisher and Blade were absolutely not allowed to be released in kids-based sets. They were amazing inclusions and some of my favorite figures released. So, because of that, I'd like to see some rather adult Batman-like characters as well here. Characters like Victor Zsasz would be cool here. Even if it's not based around the games, then other adult-centered characters like Hush would be pretty cool to see, and essentially to every figure that isn't included in the set, I want to see references based around them, and I want to see loads of them. I'd love to find evidence that other villains have been here before, like an umbrella to represent Penguin. Harvey Dent's coin would be cool. I mentioned Riddler trophies before, but the game also has like a pool of mud for Clayface at one point. He's in his own cell transforming into other appearances. Ra's al Ghul's body can be found in the game as well, probably a bit too morbid for a LEGO set, but you see where I'm going with this. Inclusions like this would go a long way for people, and I think make it an easier sell as an expensive luxury item for the adult collectors. That wraps this up. I'm basically just rambling at this point for what I'm wanting to see the most. I'm very excited for this Arkham release set. It's genuinely one of my most anticipated sets now for 2025 easily, but this and the Krusty Burger. But in saying that, I have been so let down lately with LEGO's releases, especially within the DC and Batman lines, so I'm cautiously optimistic and prepared to make a tragic update video if I'm not overall sold on this product. But what are your thoughts on this upcoming LEGO Batman release? Whatever your thoughts are, you should let me know down below. Liking this video and subscribing here to the channel does help to support more videos like this one releasing in the future. Thank you very much for watching everybody, ka kite anō, take care, hope to see you all next time.